10 times Gordon Ramsay actually failed. Who would ever think or imagine that one of the best out of the best would have some ugly moments where he flopped at his own game? Well, that's what this video is about. Gordon Ramsay has enjoyed many successes that showcases him as not just as a chef, but as a vibrant personality embodying both excellence and relatability. But alongside his triumphs, there have been those eyebrow-raising moments that could make you say, yikes. Number 1. Bursting out and running into the door. One time, he was ranting at the crew at a restaurant where he had a pretty bad experience, and after he finished his rant, he attempted to storm out of the door only to bang into the door. If I was there, I would have burst out laughing. After having built up a certain level of intimidation among the crew, that incident was able to wipe out the influence he had over them. His experience in the place was quite ugly, so being the Gordon that we all know, he had every reason to flip out seeing that the restaurant was in catastrophe. 1. He found rotten food, a 2-week-old plate of food, olive oil that had gone bad, and an excessive amount of hair and dirt in the seat gaps. That's not all. The crew's collective attitude of the cluelessness and indifference together got him to explode in the first place. Like, after discovering this, I wonder how such a restaurant still operates. No wonder Gordon Ramsay was so angry in the first place. Who wouldn't be? Number 2. Gordon wetting himself. Oh man, Gordon Ramsay definitely met his match at Mama Maria's in Brooklyn. You know how he usually rips into restaurants on kitchen nightmares? This time, the tables were turned big time. Gordon walks into Mama Maria's expecting the usual chaos, but instead, he gets it with every kitchen nightmare possible. Frozen food, rotten food, some even frozen and rotten. It's like a comedy of errors right from the start. And then, karma strikes. Gordon's on the hunt for this funky smell, and it leads him to this plant. He lifts it up, thinking he's Sherlock Holmes solving a mystery, and boom! Dirty plant water spills all over him. You should have seen the crew's faces. They were probably holding back laughter, especially this guy Fabio, the manager. In his interview, Fabio couldn't hide his satisfaction. He admitted it was payback for all the times Gordon mocked them, and he was grinning ear to ear. Number 3. Sending his child off the swing. Oh, you know Gordon Ramsay, right? The tough-talking chef who's a total softie with his family? So he's out for a Christmas stroll with his kids, having a blast at the park. They find the swing and Gordon's there, being the dad, giving them these big pushes. But one poor kid, let's call him Jack, gets launched like he's in orbit. He goes flying off that swing and bam, down he goes. Now, most dads might panic or freak out, but not Gordon. Nope, he's cracking up like it's the funniest thing ever. And guess what? His other kids start giggling too, including Jack. But get this, it's not the first time something like this has happened. Gordon's like a big kid himself when he's with his family. They're all a bunch of daredevils just like him. They're always pulling stunts and messing around. It's like a circus, but you can tell they're having a blast. Number 4. Non-Thai Pad Thai. Gordon Ramsay, renowned for his culinary prowess, found himself humbled during a visit to the only Thai temple in southwest London. Tasked with cooking for one of the monks, Ramsay embarked on what seemed like a straightforward assignment, albeit with a twist. He was to be mentored by the executive chef of one of London's top Thai restaurants, Chan, who would guide him in the nuances of Thai cuisine. Under Chan's watchful eye, Ramsay diligently prepared the components of a traditional Thai meal. However, true to his nature, Ramsay couldn't resist adding his own unique flair, the same bold touches that defined his approach to cooking Thai dishes at home. His rendition of noodles took an unexpected turn when he decided to encase them in beaten egg. And he finished the dish with a flourish of crushed peanuts. Sounds tasty, right? Confident in his creation, Ramsay presented the dish to Chan, expecting praise or constructive feedback. Instead, he was met with a blunt reality check. Chan, unimpressed, declared Ramsay had missed the mark entirely. The dish, according to Chan, bore little resemblance to authentic Thai cuisine. It was a moment of stark realization for Ramsay, whose culinary acumen was usually unquestioned.
I think that doesn't taste too bad. It's not perfect.
For you, but not for me.
Number 5. Getting Australia to hate him. One time, Ramsay tried to get the whole of Australia to hate him when in one of his exhibitions, he called one of Australia's most prominent journalists, Tracy Grimshaw, an ugly old pig. He was taped saying that in one of his tapes in his exhibition right after he had displayed to his audience a picture of a woman with a pig's face saying that it was Tracy Grimshaw. Shocking, right? Apparently, Gordon didn't enjoy his time on air with Tracy because in the exhibition, right after his pig remark, the trash talking began. As you would expect, Tracy began tearing his flesh on her show. Even the Prime Minister got involved and called Gordon a new form of lowlife, and the Deputy Prime Minister said he should confine himself to the kitchen. That was indeed a wild time Gordon had in Australia. Instead of Gordon apologizing, guess what our chef did? He made matters worse by trying to deny a few of the words. He said he has spent over 20 years in the kitchen, but I bet nothing blew up in his face like that one. Number 6, triple slap attempt. When you put so much pressure on the people around you, you must expect a few of them to snap, right? One of the most famous of these is when British actress Amanda Beers attempted to slap Gordon. Amanda took part in Hell's Kitchen for a while back in 2004, and once while Gordon was roughing her up and making the air tense for everybody, she got too frustrated with his arrogance and tried to slap him 3 times in a row until the rest of the restaurant had to calm her down. The funny thing is, nobody had anything to say in his defense, and the incident is still talked about till this day. Even recently, Amanda Beers was on the Celebrity Big Brother show, and the slapping incident came up. Gordon is also unpopular with many women due to his perceived misogyny and the many occasions where he insulted women on his shows or on TV appearances. Number 7, walking out for the first time. We are all aware how Gordon's life is about bringing order to falling restaurants, so when he fails to do that, that's a fail on top of a fail. When Gordon decided to dedicate his time to pulling things together at Amy's Baking Company, he found a place that was in total shambles. They were keeping customers waiting for long periods of time, yelling at unsatisfied customers, and getting into brawls with them. How much of a disaster could this bakery really be? The married couple who owned the place were even yelling at each other in front of a disaster. And Amy was just snapping at any criticism of her sloppy cooking. Gordon went in and tried to play superhero, but later found out he had a lost cause in front of him. He can easily overcome the worst of chefs, but couldn't crack the fence that Amy held to any form of criticism related to her restaurant. But later on in the show, Gordon would do something I and any of us have never seen. Gordon walked out for the first time on his show admitting that he had failed to help that restaurant. Oops. Number 8, being snubbed by his daughter on BBC. This time, BBC were running a report of Gordon Ramsay with footage of him with his family. But in one of the scenes, he was running around with his daughter in the house while holding a mic and pretending to be a journalist, and then asked his daughter Tilly, "What does it feel like to be the daughter of the best chef in the world?" And her reply? She said she didn't know how it felt because Jamie Oliver was the best chef in the world and not her dad. Ouch! That must have stunk really bad. That was a straight jab to Gordon's ego. But seriously, Tilly's the witty one in that family, always poking fun at her dad, even spilling his embarrassing secrets on TV. It's like she's out to get back at him for all those times he's been a tough critic. But despite all the ribbing, you can tell they've got a solid bond. Their family dynamic? Pure entertainment. Number 9, cockroaches in Gordon's own kitchen. In January 2015, Gordon had a scandal in his central London restaurant, Maze. As a chef who's constantly raging at chefs and restaurant managers for having bad hygiene in their kitchens, Gordon should have paid more attention to his own domain. When the health inspectors paid a visit that month, they had a shocking revelation. Even I was stunned as well. They found 7 cockroaches swarming freely around the kitchen. Yes, 7! Maze is a pretty high-end and pricey restaurant, so it's not a small matter to have news like that emerging about its hygiene, least of all when it's owned by the GOAT Gordon Ramsay himself. That's a double strike, one to his restaurant and one to his own credibility. The restaurant's hygiene rating fell down to 2 stars as a result of the inspection. I'm sure Gordon must have had steam coming out of his ears. But this was not an isolated incident, as Gordon's spokeswoman tried to propagate at the time. In 2009, health inspectors also found mouse droppings under a kitchen sink at one of his restaurants, the Warrington Hotel in northwest London, and that was a huge shock to everyone. After both incidents, though, Gordon went on shamelessly roasting chefs with his typical notorious posture and temper, and has not been shaken by the news. Number 10, cutting his finger on The Ellen Show. Ah, poor Gordon. Even the culinary titan himself isn't immune to kitchen mishaps. Imagine him, the king of precision, cutting his finger while demonstrating how to avoid exactly that. Classic! And to top it off, it happened while he was trying his hand at a vegan stir fry. For a guy who's all about the meat, that must have been an adventure in itself. I can almost see him nervously wielding those veggies. But hey, cutting yourself in the kitchen happens to the best of us, right? And for Gordon, who thrives on being in control, that was a bit of a blow. Yet, true to form, he turned it around with a witty remark or two and kept the show going. When you look at Gordon Ramsay's journey in the kitchen, from his high-flying successes to the occasional slip-ups, it's clear he's more than just a chef. He's a dynamic personality who embodies both excellence and humanity. Sure, there have been moments like finding cockroaches in his restaurant or cutting his finger during a vegan stir-fry demo, situations that could ruffle anyone's feathers. But what stands out is how Gordon handles it all.